The first job is a pair of TVR Rover V8 cylinder heads, which we're doing actually quite a lot of engine work for the customer. Jono his name is, and today we are doing his cylinder heads. One of them I've done actually, that's in the cleaner, but we've already refaced the cylinder heads, and he's complained that when he's built the cylinder heads up, he's ground the valve in, thought that it was all okay, but I think he's done a fluid check on it and it's leaked fluid through the seats. So the first job that I've done is refaced all the valves, and some of those was slightly off center, so that's all corrected. And then the next thing is to cut the seats. Like I say, I've done one head, it's in the cleaner, but because of how bad the seats are or were, I thought I would show you on the second head. So the machine, the Myra is all set up for these cylinder heads. They're really nice actually, they're nicely ported, they've got a good quality valve in them. Like I say, we refaced them a few months ago. So the machine is still set for the exhaust seat, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to cut it, stop, take the seat cutter out and show you just how bad it is. So if I put you there, I don't know how much GoPro will pick up as the machine's being used, but we'll have a look. So these exhaust seats are very hard. That's why the machine's going quite slow. Right, so that's not really bit into the seat, which is not what I wanted, or which is what I wanted, so I could show you guys what the seat looks like. Right, so what you can hopefully see here, let me get something to point with, is my seat cutter has done this third angle all the way around the seat. It's just started putting the top angle on, so this is the bottom angle, then it started to do the top, but this is the angle here which is important. This one here is our seat. Now unfortunately you can see here it's not cut there, but as you come round here, if I can get to it, not sure if you can see, but basically from here to here it's started to cut, so that's how far out that seat is. And on the first head it was exactly the same as that. So what I'm going to do is I'll cut all the exhaust and then I'll do the same on the inlet and show you that. So that's all the inlets now cut properly. Got nice 3-angle seat cut. Every single exhaust was distorted as well. I've now changed the cutter to set it up to cut the inlet, so I've basically brought this cutter out more so it increases the diameter. And what I'll do once again is I'll start with this one, I'll get it where it just cuts and show you how far out it is. So I'm going to lock the magnet off, hit the button for self-centering, so these servos now are moving to find the centre of the guide. So it's now locked. Okay, that's just cut one part of the seat, so we'll take the cutter out, we'll take the Centronic out so I can show you where it's done. Okay, right, so I've got a screwdriver, and as you can see it's done this bottom angle and it's not touched the seat from there to there. So that's just how far out it is. If I grab a Sharpie, and what I'll do is show you where I can see in case you can't. I mean, I'll try and show you from this angle as well. But basically the seat is cut from there to there. That's how far out that one inlet seat is. And like I said at the beginning, they didn't look bad at all. They all looked like they'd ground in, and it wasn't. It was only because Jono had done a fluid check on it, I believe, and noticed that there was no fluid staying in the port. It was actually running out after a period of time. So just because the seat looks good doesn't mean it is good. That's why it's always important to either vac test or fluid test the valve seats. But with the seat cutters that we've got, it's no problem, we can correct that. So I'm going to now cut these 4 inlet seats, and then it's ready to grind in, wash and reassemble. So let me get this one sorted. That's cleaned up quite quick after that, but I mean, it does go to show you that it only needs a little bit to not seat. I'm going to move on to this second inlet. So that's the seat cutter centralised. We're just going to bring the cutter down now onto the seat. Yeah, and that one's out a little bit too. Oh no, it's in now. You can hear it actually, you can hear it. Once it starts to cut all the way round, it cuts a lot better. So 2 more to do. And that's it, that's all of the seats cut on this second head and the first one. Every single seat was slightly distorted, so it definitely needed this bit of attention. So what I'm going to do now is just hoover up my mess. And then I'm going to grind 2 valves in. Well, I'm going to grind all 8 valves in, but I'll show you 2 of them being done, show you that the seat is perfect and the valves refaced perfect, and then I'll crack on with the rest. So what I'm doing is I'll just pick 2 random valves. I'll do 1 inlet, 1 exhaust on this cylinder, say. So then you don't need a lot of this. This is carborundum paste, so you just need to put a little bit on your finger and then ever so carefully just roll it around the face of the valve like that. You don't need to bulk it out and put a lot on, because all that happens is as soon as it touches the seat, it will just splodge out anyway. And then I always put a little bit of penetrant or brake cleaner on the seat. A little bit of rag to wipe the valve with and the seat. And then what I'm looking for is where that's a shiny ground finish, we're looking for a nice grey finish. Let me show you. As you can see, there's a nice grey line all the way around the valve. So that means the valve is ground in perfectly. And then what we're looking for is exactly the same grey line all the way around on the seat. If there's any shiny bits left, then the seat cutter didn't cut the seat properly and we're going to have to hit it again. But we've got the screwdriver again. There's a grey line all the way around there, all the way around, so that's pretty much perfect. Well, it's perfect, not pretty much, it is perfect. So I'm going to write a number 6 on this, and then that valve is ground in perfectly to that seat. So let's do one more. This is an inlet, put way too much on there. So like I said earlier, a nice steady line all the way around to help the carborundum paste break down and not make it sticky, it makes it glide. And what I'm doing is I am just lifting the valve ever so slightly just to pull some more carborundum in, but then as you can hear, it loses its sort of coarseness like that, and that's the carborundum breaking down. And normally as soon as you hear it disappear and then just naturally pick a bit back up, that's the seat ground in perfectly. So once again, let's see, I'm looking for a nice grey line instead of a polished line. And there we are, all the way around. We want it all the way nice and consistent. So that's good. Hopefully the seat will be exactly the same. Yeah, so visual inspection all the way around, and it's perfectly nice and grey on both them seats. I don't know if we're picking it up good, but it is good. So what I'm going to do now is grind in the other 6 valves, and then I'll put that head in the wash as well while I build the other heads up, and then I'll bag them back up for Jono, and then that's both them cylinder heads sorted. He noticed that they weren't sealing, did the right thing to bring them in, and we can confirm that the valves was out and the seats. So that's a good repair done, and we'll move on to the next job. Well, I'm going to show you just how bad a Pinto head can warp. Touching here, no touchy, no touchy, no touchy, touching here. It's got a really bad finish. You can actually see like a milling line across there. Can't really feel it, to be honest, but not very good at all. We'll see how much needs to come off it. So 0.6 of an inch later, we're over here. It's now touching all the way along here, and then comes through there. So it's kind of a banana shaped tip, but that's 6 thou, and we're still no closer for it being flat. So that was 16 thou to get that flat. So I'll give it a nice finish. I've just got to wash it, and I've got to put a time cert in here to sort that out, and then build it and set the tappets for him. The next job that I've got in is a Nissan SR20 DET engine for a balance rebore, crank polish, and assemble the bottom end. So the first thing that I'm doing is reboring it. The customer supplied a set of Eagle rods and Woosner pistons, so I'm going to check the balance on them as well. I've already measured the pistons, so I've just set up the Van Norman to bore it out, and we'll do that. I've already done cylinder number 4. I've locked it in to do cylinder number 3, and I've got to be honest with you, Sam's cooked dinner today and he has ruined me. What did you cook? No. There was something wrong with something that you've cooked, Sam. It's made me very poorly. Can you go and put the toilet roll in the fridge, please? So that's cylinder number 3 done, cylinder number 4 done. We're now doing cylinder number 1. So I've got it where the cutter is just above the bore, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage the drive, the auto feed, and then what will happen is I just keep a finger on the machine so I can feel any vibration. The first bit is aluminium on these, then it starts to bore the cast iron. And then as this is boring down, what I do is as soon as it gets to where the catch pulls are, I then open up the catch pulls slightly, so if there ever is a problem, the borer can't move too much. Where if the catch pulls was in and there was a problem, the borer could move like that. But now you can see the gap there. So what I'm going to do is just bring the catch pulls out slightly, just so I can feel it on the ball. Barely anything holding that, just a slight touch. While that's boring, I'm refacing this little 3-cylinder head. So the next thing on the SR20 is to reface the block, but to do that I've got to take this water outlet off. So I'm going to stick it in the hot tank to try and get some heat into the block, and then try and tap this out, then back on the machine for a reface. When skimming these, you have to bolt the oil pump on. So this is a brand new oil pump which my customer supplied, and I've nipped it up, made sure it's sitting pretty flat on the block face at the bottom, and then it just needs this bit machining here because it's actually low there and high there. So it's really important when fitting a new oil pump that that's refaced with the block. So I've got this water take off out of the block, and I'm giving it a skim now. So I've got the oil pump flat, the block's now flat as well. It was quite badly warped in the middle, so I'm just prepping now to give it its final cut. So I'm going to switch the Comac into auto feed, and then let the machine do its work. Right, so I'm honing the block now. It's all refaced. I've blown the swarf off it, put it in the honer. I've roughed it out first. I've left 3/1000ths of an inch to come out to get the right surface finish. So I got it down to 1 thou with the coarse, and now I've just put some smoother in it, and I'm finishing it off with that. So I've got another 1/2 thou to take out of cylinder 1. Same with cylinder 2. Bit more on cylinder 3. And another 1/2 thou on cylinder 4. So we'll drop the stones back in it and get the rest of the material out. So the SR block is in the wash. We're going to do a 2-stage wash on that. We're going to wash all the machining swarf off it, then we're going to cover it in an alley rejuvenator or cleaner or brightener to try and get the alley looking nice. We don't do any vapor blasting or anything like that on blocks, and then it'll go back into the final wash then. So it's probably going to be washed for about 3 hours. While that's doing, I'm going to do the crankshaft assembly, balance the crankshaft assembly and polish the crank. So the first thing I'm going to run up is the crank. I've put the data into the machine. I haven't actually finished setting it up yet. I've got to put RPM pickup on it, but we'll run that. We'll see how far out of balance is, and then we'll make some changes. So I've run this crank up, and it's a little bit out on the flywheel side, but it's quite a bit out on the front pulley side. So I'm going to bring the front pulley in first, get that down and then work on the flywheel side. We'll see how much needs to come off. So that's the crank now in balance. I'm going to fit the flywheel, change the settings on the machine and balance that. So that's now the clutch is in balance. It was a mile out, it was 200 grams, but I've got it right down to 3 now. This is the before report. So it was 209.3 and I've got it 3.2. I'm going to polish the crank, get that in the wash. While that's in the wash, I'm going to gap the rings. This has all been final washed and everything, so I'm going to gap the rings, fit the pistons onto the rods, check the balance of them, and that's it. Hopefully it's going to be a bit brighter in here now because I've put these 2 LED panels in extra and then 2 more there as well. So with a bit of luck that will improve the lighting. Let's try. Yeah, I think that's better. Well, under this bit anyway, but this is where normally I film the engines that are being built. So the crank has been polished and is now in the cleaner. It's been in for about an hour, so it'll probably have another hour in there. I'll go and turn it over in a moment. So what I'm doing while I wait for that is I'm gapping the piston rings. I'm starting off with cylinder number 4, 3, 2, 1. I've already done the oil control on cylinder 4 and cylinder 3. I've done the second ring on cylinder 4, and then what I do is I put the second ring on the piston and then do the second ring in number 3, the top ring in number 4, and I use the piston and the ring very, very, very carefully just to make sure that it's sitting in there square, or the rings are sitting in the ball square. And then with my feeler gauges, I then see what size gap I've got. So the second ring on number 3 is okay. And it looks like the top ring needs some slight adjustment. Yeah. So not only is the top ring tight, it is also, if this is the radius of the bore, it's also like that, because I can get a 12 thou feeler gauge in to halfway and then it's locked solid. So what I've got to do is straighten that gap so it's perfectly parallel. But like I said a second ago, the second ring on number 3 is good, so I can mount that to the piston, and then I'm going to check the oil control on 2 and 3, mount them up, put the second ring in, 2 and 1, put the second ring in 2 and 1, measure them, and then I'm guessing that I'm going to have to do the same correction on the top ring along all of them. So I'll get them where the rest of them are on and sorted, and I've just got to deal with the top ring. So what I'm going to do now is, with piston number 3, which I've marked, is put the ring onto the piston, and what I'll do is show you there's a marking there. The marking always goes to the top, and then once the ring is installed into the groove like that, I have the oil control rails, the lower one pointing this way, the top one pointing this way, and then the 2 compression rings I have at opposite ends of the gudgeon pin. So one's level with the gudgeon pin there, and the top ring will be level with the gudgeon pin there. The reason for that is I want to keep the gap away from the thrust side of the piston. So it's mounted like that. And then what I'm going to do now is carry on with the rest, like I said, and then deal with number 1 ring, top ring. So another thing that I thought I would just quickly show, because someone mentioned it on a video I think a while ago, is these little hateful sods. Getting them in and getting them out without damaging the piston too much. These are a wire clip, and there's a few different styles of clip that hold the gudgeon pin. There's circlips, wire clips, spiral locks and things like that, but there's quite an easy way to do these, and how I do it is I fit part of the open part of the clip at the bottom of the piston, so it's like that. Yeah, so I put the clip so it's just in at the bottom, and then instead of trying to lever this round with screwdrivers and things like that, it's actually very easy. All you need to do is I rest one finger there, and then with my thumbnail I just push the clip in like that. And as you can see, I haven't chewed the piston up, I've not been levering it, I've not distorted the clip. It actually goes in very easy. That's on these. Other clips can be different. You can get some of these where they're probably twice as thick. They're different to do, and spiral locks also are different to do. And then you've got normal eared style circlips. But that's how I do that. I see a lot of people struggling with it, and there's really no need to. It's pretty simple. So all the conrods are now installed to the pistons, all the bearings are in, everything's cleaned. I've got my ARP piston ring compressor for the right size. So what I'm going to do is install the piston into the bore, and I'll show you how to do that. So there's no oil on the ring, we fit them dry. All I've done is put some ARP bore lubricant just around the top of the bore, just to help the ring and help it bed. And I've also put the same oil inside the ring compressor just to help the piston slide into place. So I'm very carefully going to get the ring compressor around the piston with the rings inside, and then with a good firm push, that's one done. Moving on to number 3. So same again, I'm just making sure my rings are staggered, and I also always, as I'm fitting them, just double check that the rings are installed the right way. Number 2. So once again, staggered rings installed the right way. And then the last one, number 1. So rings are staggered, installed the right way. And that's it. So I'm going to flick the engine the other way around, drop the crank in, torque it all up, and then I've got to put the rear oil seal housing and seal in. and torque that up, and then that's all we're doing on this one actually. It's all ready then to collect, but I will show you it finished. Another job that I've been asked to do is replace this rear spigot bearing for a new one. So first of all, I've got to take the old one out, and for that I'm going to use a blind bearing slide hammer, which is one of these. So I've got to find the one that fits the spigot, which looks like it is the 15mm, and then install that into so it grips the old spigot. Actually, that's not got that very well actually. Just the next size up. Find a spanner that fits the tool, and then just wind the tapered inner part out. So this part here is tapered, and as it screws into the blind bearing puller, it opens that up, and there's a edge right on the very end, so it just allows that to tighten up on that through there, and then that grabs the back of the spigot. Then screw in the slide hammer, and then with a bit of luck that should just take that bearing out. So it's a case of just unscrewing it all. So the slide hammer first comes off, and then with the spanner just undo the collet. Just tighten that. There we go. Put that back inside that one. So that's a 17mm, which I've just nicked the inner part out because it's a bit wider. And that's the old spigot bearing, which in all fairness, it doesn't look warm, but the customer wanted and supplied another one, so it's getting it. So what I need to do now is find something to install the new spigot bearing. And what we don't want to do is cause it any damage in fitting it. We don't want to damage the internal size at all. So I'm going to use that for that. This is an old bit of brass, what I made. This is actually for 2-litre Pintos, but it's got a nice step on it, nice taper as well. And that's it, back exactly where the other one come out, so that's good. And that's it, now that's done, I can get the crank installed into the block. So that's the SR20 DE engine finished now. Well, all we've got to do to it, so balance the assembly, reboard it, skimmed it including the oil pump, balanced the pistons and the conrods, and then washed it all through, and then built the rotating assembly. So I fitted the pistons, I fitted the pistons to the rods, I've gapped the rings, fitted the piston and rod to the bore, torqued it to the crank, so that's all done and tightened up. The only thing I haven't done, which I'm just waiting to speak to my customer about, actually, if I turn it over, I'll show you. So the main caps, I've nipped these 6 up and I've left these loose, and the main reason being is I've torqued up the big ends, I've stretched the bolts, but this block runs bore squirters down there, and if I torque this up there'd be no way of getting them in. So I'm going to speak to my customer Neil, see if he can bring them with him, and then I'll tighten them up, put them in for him, and tighten that up while he's here as well. But that's that job done. So now I'm going to get on with another engine build, but that's it for now on this video. So if you could like and subscribe, please, that'd be great, and we'll catch you next week on the next video. Cheers to her. So I'm ending this video here, and I thought I would just pop over and see me mates, because they've been on a track day at Coombe today. There's one of them that's been on a track day. How did this one get on?
Yeah.
Oh, was this broken?
Yeah, broken.
Why is the bonnet up on yours, Sparky?
Checking washer fluids.
It has no compression on the free.
You've broken number 3.
Yes.
You have broken number 3. So is this an engine rebuild time?
It will be, yeah.
How many brake horsepowers did this have before it went kaboom?
397.
Oh my god. And now it's got
0.
That piston there is 11 years old, and I can read the part number off it, where it's just been washed with oil and fuel.
That is a Woosner part number.
Yes, correct.
Uh-oh, I can see a hole.
Yes, it's got little holes in it.
Oh no.
And heavy scored bores.
The boostage didn't work for longage.
Do you know, since you've moved to Newbury, a lot has broken.
Is it to do with your move?
Yes. It's coming in
have,
you lot.
have you got have you got the Newbury look?
We've got one coolant leak.
What's leaking coolant?
The silver one.
What, that yours?
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. So what I'm kind of working out here is that all the VW Golfs are broken. That means that the Vauxhalls are better. Vauxhalls are better. See you on the next video.